Hello, folks. Welcome back to my channel. This is the World of TV Shows, and today I have another episode review for you of Medium. And this time we'll be looking at the seventh episode of the second season called Judge, Jury, and Executioner. The episode originally aired on November 7th, 2005 on NBC. It was directed by Peter Warner and written by Bruce Miller. So, what is this episode about? What's going on? What's the main plot? So basically, in this episode, Allison has a rather strange dream at the beginning of that very episode, the first act, if you will. She sees something pretty strange happening, and I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't watched it, but it kind of goes like, those words might be of certain relevance to those who have watched it, and they'll know what I'm talking about. So it is all, what are you willing to do? So I'll leave you with that for those who haven't watched it out of respect, so I don't spoil too much or anything, but it goes pretty wild, right? In her dream. Then obviously she wakes up, it's the morning, and life goes on in at the house, Allison, Joe, her husband, her daughters, there's a little bit of a fuss at the beginning with the daughters because of a headband. I'm not going to spoil it too much or anything. It's pretty funny though. But there's something pretty interesting concerning Joe. And he basically has been, I don't want to spoil it too much or anything, but he might be a member of the jury. I'll leave you with that, right? So basically, yes, he's going to have to go. And basically, there's that thing called jury duty, and he might very well be selected to be a member of the jury. And in this case of that would be, the case he'd be working on, it is about a man who lost his rich wife on some kind of a boat ride, some cruise, right? And basically, she's just gone, right? She just disappeared, and her body was never found. So basically, excuse me, DA Davalos believes that he's guilty of having killed his wife for the money, this accused person. But, it's not exactly a shared sentiment, as the majority of jurors believe that he might very well be innocent, right? And that, the DA is pretty much, going out on a limb, trying too hard to get him, convicted of a crime that he might be completely innocent about. So this individual, his name is Stephen Garner, right? And he is the one being, on the stand, being accused. And, whether he will go to prison or not is basically something for the jury to decide, because this is how American law works. You're judged by a jury of your peers, as, Allison mentions in this episode. So I'm just, using the same words because I think that they're pretty accurate, and they give a pretty good description to what it is. So yeah, basically, yes, he might very well walk freely, but Davalos is pretty distraught about it. He believes that he is guilty of having killed his wife, and there's so little he can do, right? Because it basically it all lies in the hands of the jury, right? So Joe, who is actually, I guess, I have to spoil a little bit. He's a member of the jury, and he believes that he might be innocent too. But then Allison has some very strange dreams that might indicate otherwise. And I'm not gonna spoil it too much or anything, but there's some kind of a hunting scene in the woods at night with a deer, and there's some kind of significance to this, and Allison doesn't know at first, but then as the dreams go on, continue, she's gonna get a better idea of things, and she's gonna, you know, come to a rather shocking, interesting discovery. But I'll let you find out for yourselves what it is about. So, yes, as the episode goes on, obviously, we see the father of the woman who's missing, and he seems to be really, you know, fond of his son-in-law, and he doesn't believe that he's guilty, as he is called to testify in the stand at court. He believes that he's also innocent, but there's maybe more than meet the eye, as Allison, sees something, a specific individual who might have some answers, who might be able to shed some light as to the guilt or innocence of Stephen Garner. So this is pretty much how it goes. So judge, jury, and executioner, what did I think about it? I thought this was an excellent episode. I loved it so much. It is so good, especially with, Joe being a member of the jury. He can't really talk to his wife, Allison, and Allison is not able to work on the case in any way, shape, or form. And she stopped at the beginning as the district attorney sees her doing this because this could mean a mistrial. And there's a clear conflict of interest, right? If it is found out that the two of them, Allison and her husband, are discussing the case, that this wouldn't be good since Allison is working for the district attorney already, right? They cannot do that. So there's a little bit of secrecy, right? Allison and her husband, who are usually pretty close, cannot really share too much, cannot really speak about something that is interestingly put in such a way that it consumes most of, Joe's day and Allison's as well, but they cannot, so much as, mention anything about it. But I really enjoyed the episode, especially with the final twist near the end when we make, another big discovery. I like the fact that Allison and, Joe are riding together, taking the children to school, the girls, right? It was pretty fun. It's a nice kind of bonding episode for the family to spend more time together, to go eat together, to ride back home together. I thought that this was a pretty good thing about this episode, right? So really enjoyed it, especially to the very end. I really liked the ominous theme that occurs a few times in this episode, especially those who have watched it. The final theme, the final scene, the before the ending credits, and you have this ominous theme, this ominous music. I just love it. And it was in the 5th episode too, if I'm not mistaken, right? So I really enjoyed this theme, this piece, right? Music, this piece of music. So let's move on to the actors before closing this review up. And yes, this is pretty much how it will be. So we have the main ones. We have the main actors, actresses. And then we have the guest starring ones. We have James Patrick Stewart, who plays Stephen Garner, who was a pretty good actor in this episode, who gave an awesome performance. Really liked him, really was convinced by what he did. He was pretty good in it, really enjoyed it, enjoyed his performance. Then we have Kamala Lopez, who plays Miss Romney. Then we have, who is a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken, for the defense, an attorney in the beginning. She was pretty good too. And she is, she's in a few scenes with the district attorney in the beginning. Really enjoyed her performance as well. Then we have Bellamy Young, who plays Kate Emery. Bellamy Young is a pretty awesome actress who was in many other TV shows, who guest starred in a few of them, on NCIS, on so many others, and she's a really good actress. She's really talented. In this episode, she might hold the key to something, so she played a very interesting character. Then we have John Wesley, who plays the judge, who was pretty good, in my opinion. We have Jen Hoag, who plays middle-aged woman in the beginning, the opening scene. Pretty interesting, but I'll let you find out for yourselves. Then we have Octavia Spencer, who plays jurist, right, who is a pretty awesome actress too. She was in Spider-Man, if I'm not mistaken. She was in other TV shows, sometimes guest starring here and there, if I'm not mistaken. But in this episode as a jurist, she was pretty funny, and she was pretty witty. I kind of liked her too. Then we have Ronnie Cox, who plays Mr. Hammond, the father of the missing woman, the father-in-law, if you will, of Stephen's father-in-law. Then we have James T. Callahan, who plays Jory Foreman, who is pretty awesome too. At some point in near the end, he says to Joe, guilty. It means he not guilty. At some point, that means that means he didn't do it. That means he didn't do it. Something like this, and then he says, evidence. What evidence? Can you give me a scrap of evidence? To indicate that what comes after. I'm not gonna say everything. But I thought he was pretty awesome in this episode, to indicate that this man might have done anything to kill his wife, something like this. I don't really recall off the top of my head, but he was awesome. James T. Callahan, really enjoyed him as well. Then we have Elena Fabry, who plays Jessica Garner, the wife, right, the missing wife, Jessica, who is the one who is, presumed dead, but without a body to be found. It's difficult to make a case with the district attorney. Then we have Emiliano Torres, who plays Mr. Vincent. Yeah, he was pretty good too. We have John Harnagle, who plays middle-aged man. I don't really recall all of them now, to be honest. Then we have John Robbins, who plays Officer. Yeah, I don't recall all of them, but the main ones I do. James Patrick Stewart, Bellamy Young, as well as, Octavia Spencer and James T. Callahan were my favorite actors and characters of the episode. So if I were to rate this episode on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd definitely give it a solid, I don't even know, maybe I'd give it a 10 out of 10. It was awesome. I really loved the heck out of this episode. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the progression. Really enjoyed the suspense and everything that leads to it up until the very end when Joe becomes a little bit impatient with his wife and wants an explanation at some point. But it's going to be difficult. So I kind of like this secrecy element, this kind of not being able to tell one another about this, the facts of the case, not being able to discuss it, and up until the very end when we make a shocking discovery that is going to kind of end the episode on some bitter note, some scary moment, but really enjoyed it. And with the kind of the daughters, Ariel and Bridget, being a little bit at each other's throats in this episode, it kind of adds to this kind of comic relief aspect. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this episode for what it was. And up until the very end when they play this game of thumb war, and there's going to be obviously something that is going to be, something that's going to happen, but I like this kind of comic relief, right? Because of the shocking, discoveries in this episode, the kind of very scary, disturbing visuals at some point, including some dismembered body, and there's a little bit of comic relief here and there, some humor thrown in, especially with the jury and all of that. So I thought that this offered some kind of comic relief, some kind of escape, especially with the daughters as well. But yeah, 10 out of 10 for me for this episode. Really loved the heck out of it. What about you folks? What did you think about this episode? Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Like I said, 10 out of 10 for me. Excellent episode. Loved it. Let me know in the comment section down below, as I would really like to hear about your thoughts and views on this episode. In the meantime, folks, stay safe. Goodbye. Take care. This is the World of TV Show signing off.